Lesson 3. The core narrative. Positioning tells them who you are for. Narrative makes them feel like you know them. Without a core narrative, your copy is just information. This one depends on your positioning statement from Lesson 2, because your brand's role as the guide in the story is built directly on that positioning. If you haven't written that statement yet, go grab it now. In this episode, we're going to name your buyer's villain, the specific pain they're trying to escape, define your brand as the guide, outline a 3-step plan, and paint the transformation in their own words, all to build a 3-sentence story. Let's build the story your buyer needs to hear. Donald Miller's StoryBrand framework is built on a simple truth. People buy when they can see themselves in a story. The buyer is the hero, your product is the guide, and the transformation is the plot. But you cannot tell that story without understanding your buyer's problem and your product's role in solving it. This lesson connects your language matrix to the 7-part StoryBrand framework. You'll define the problem, the guide, the plan, and the call to action in the buyer's words. The output is a 3-sentence core narrative that every piece of marketing should align to. Here are the key takeaways. People do not buy products. They buy better versions of themselves. Your customer must be the hero of the story, not your product. Every story needs a villain, the problem, a guide, you, and a plan. The core narrative is shorter than you think. It is the plot summary. And when the buyer recognizes themselves in your story, trust is automatic. We'll use 2 frameworks. The first is the StoryBrand 7-part framework, developed by Donald Miller. Its components are character, the buyer, problem, the villain, guide, your brand, plan, the steps, call to action, what they do next, failure, the cost of inaction, and success, the transformation. Use this to write your narrative. The second is the problem plan transformation arc. This is a simplified version. Define the buyer's problem using exact language from your matrix. Define your plan as the 3 steps you take them through, and define the transformation as the outcome in their words. This arc is the core of your narrative. Your positioning says who you are for. Your core narrative says why they should care. Most founders skip narrative because it feels like storytelling, not marketing. But narrative is the fastest path to trust. This lesson uses the StoryBrand framework to build a 3-sentence narrative that makes your buyer feel seen. You'll name their problem in their own words, define your product's role as a guide, and paint the transformation they are seeking. The output is a narrative that can be used on your homepage, in your sales deck, and as the introduction to every piece of copy. The output for this lesson is your core narrative. It's required for Lesson 4. Without it, your hooks will be random. Read the entire lesson. The relationship between the villain, the guide, and the call to action is precise. Back in Lesson 2, you wrote your positioning statement. Now we're going to turn that into a narrative. Pause and grab your workbook. Step 1. Define the villain, the problem. Using your language matrix and positioning statement, name the specific villain your buyer is trying to escape. This is not a generic problem. It is the specific pain that keeps them up at night. Write it as a 1-sentence statement in their words. For example, they are drowning in generic marketing advice and have no idea what to say to their customers. Step 2. Define the guide, your brand. Name who you are in the story. This is your positioning statement condensed. What specific expertise or tool do you bring that they do not have? Write it as a 1-sentence statement. For example, we are the system that turns their customers' own words into copy that converts. Step 3. Define the plan, the steps. Name the 3 steps you take your buyer through. These are simple, specific actions that lead to the transformation. Write them as bullet points. For example, Step 1. Extract their language. Step 2. Position their brand. Step 3. Build the copy. Step 4. Define the success, the transformation. Name the outcome your buyer wants using the transformation language from your matrix. Write it as a 1-sentence statement. For example, they stop guessing and start knowing what to say, gaining trust and increasing conversions. Your to-do list for Lesson 3. Write the villain statement in buyer's words, 30 minutes. Write the guide statement, 20 minutes. Define the 3-step plan, 30 minutes. Write the transformation statement, 20 minutes. And synthesize into a 3-sentence narrative and test it, an hour. These tasks produce your core narrative, a 3-sentence story that aligns every piece of copy. This narrative is the foundation for the hook library in Lesson 4. Without it, your hooks are disconnected from the story. Let's now apply that to your own marketing. Pause and answer these. Where in your current marketing are you making yourself the hero instead of your customer? Name a specific page or sentence. Then, rewrite that specific section to position your customer as the hero and your product as the guide. Use the villain language from your matrix. Finally, if your marketing made the buyer feel like the hero, what would happen to your lead quality? Name one metric you would expect to change. Here are the pitfalls to avoid. The most common way to surface complete this lesson is to write a narrative that describes your product rather than the buyer's journey. If your story starts with "we," you are doing it wrong. Real completion is when a buyer reads your narrative and says, "That is exactly what I am going through." That is the emotional connection you are building. This narrative is the input for the hook library in Lesson 4. If you skip it, your hooks will not have a story to anchor to. Avoid the trap of making the problem too broad. They are struggling with marketing is not specific. They are struggling to find the right words to say is better. The difference between a brand with a core narrative and one without is that the first one makes customers feel known. The second one makes customers feel sold to. Open your workbook to the Lesson 3 worksheet, the core narrative arc. Pause here. In the villain section, write the problem in the buyer's exact words. Use one sentence from your language matrix. In the guide section, write your brand's role in the story. What do you bring that they do not have? In the success section, write the outcome in the buyer's words. Use the transformation column from your matrix. Your core narrative is the backbone of your hook library in Lesson 4. If you skip this worksheet, your hooks will not be connected to a story. Use the progress tracker. Check villain statement written when the problem is written in buyer's exact words. Check guide statement written when your brand's role is clearly defined. Check plan defined when 3 specific steps are written. Check success statement written when the transformation is in buyer's words. And check 3-sentence narrative synthesized when all components are combined into a single 3-sentence story. Once all are checked, you're ready for Lesson 4. And check 3-sentence narrative synthesized once it's on paper. Use the calculator to measure the depth of your narrative. Rate each component from 1 to 5. For problem specificity, aim for 4 or higher. For guide clarity, aim for 4 or higher. For transformation realism, aim for 4 or higher. If any is below 4, revisit your language matrix and rewrite. The narrative is only as strong as its weakest component. Here's your exercise. Write your core narrative in 3 sentences. Then read it to someone who matches your target avatar. Ask them 2 things. Does this feel like you? And what emotion did you feel? If they do not say yes and a specific emotional word, rewrite until they do. The goal is not information, it is recognition. Pause and do this now. Reflect on this. In your current marketing, who is the hero? Look at your homepage copy. Count the number of times you say we versus you or they. If we wins, you are making your brand the hero. What would shift if you reverse that? For deeper research, read Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. Then watch 3 Super Bowl commercials from the last 10 years. Write down the narrative arc of each. Who is the hero? Who is the guide? What is the transformation? Your action for this week. Rewrite your homepage hero section using your new core narrative. Replace the "We are X company" with 4 founders who why. We are the guide that helps you achieve Z. Publish it and watch the feedback. Next time, we take what you just built and turn it into a library of hooks you can pull from for any situation.